I rise to speak on this nuclear motion. I note that this nuclear motion has been brought on, though, because the state Labor government refused to and want to divert from their responsibilities to talk about crime and their failures on crime, particularly given the stats today with an increase of over 20% on youth crime and over 10% on crime altogether. But I digress. On nuclear, I fully support Dutton and the federal Liberals.
Sorry, the member for Mornington will resume his seat, please. On a point of order, the member for Narre Warren North.
It was on relevance, but he seems to have just drifting back into relevance as I stood. So.
Thank you, Acting Speaker.
Thank you. If the member for Mornington to continue, it's a wide-ranging debate. Thank you.
Thank you, Acting Speaker. And as I was saying, yes, I am speaking on nuclear, but I was making a point that you had through the Acting Speaker, I was making the point that the state Labor government had brought this on to avoid speaking on crime. Now, on nuclear, as I said, I fully support Dutton and the federal Liberals on this issue, and I've personally always supported nuclear. Unlike the state and federal Labor teams, I am not afraid, and we are not afraid, to talk about nuclear, to have this debate, and we are not engaged in nuclear fear-mongering. And I congratulate the federal coalition team on their bold position on nuclear. It's something that I raised in the federal party room years ago, and I know the member for Narrowcat is probably sick of me talking about federal politics, but I raised it when I was a federal MP. I said that we should get rid of, in the federal party room, the federal legislative restriction, along with Tim Wilson at the time. I also suggested to then Prime Minister Turnbull that we and he adopt this as our federal policy at the time. The fact is, yes, we need to move to lower emissions, but we need to do so while increasing baseload power supply, reducing intermittency and keeping costs down. We're the only one of the top 20 nations not to have nuclear, and many other nations are looking to invest in this, such as the UAE, which already has 2 nuclear plants and is building another 2 nuclear plants in just a few years' time. We have one of the world's largest and biggest domestic suppliers of uranium and thorium. Nuclear produces baseload power with zero-end emissions. We have enough stable landmass and spaces to store the minimal amount of nuclear waste of modern nuclear plants, which we would already need to do anyway with the AUKUS nuclear submarines, as well as the Lucas Heights test reactor. We also have key locations at sites of current and former coal plants to put such nuclear reactors, with transmission lines, water supply and so forth. It will create jobs as well in regions, such as regions nearby here that have been impacted by the closure of coal mines and the timber industry. It's also important for defence and for energy self-sustainability here in Australia. It reduces the need for more and more above-ground transmission lines to cope with increased renewables, which in turn also risks fires, takes away farmland and results in the cutting down of trees. And I do note that renewables overall, in the overall supply chains, actually do damage the environment. We shouldn't just look at the end emissions. For example, with wind power, we see the deforestation, uncontrolled deforestation, I should say, often using forced labour in places like Ecuador for balsa wood used in wind turbines, or with about 30,000 child slaves used for the mining of cobalt for lithium-ion batteries used in electric cars and so forth in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. We see the modern slavery involved in solar panels with Uyghur forced labour in China and more. So renewable energy itself is not free from environmental damage as well as labour concerns. I also fully support getting rid of the federal legislative restriction, along with Dutton and the federal Liberal team, as well as any state restrictions, and support the need to invest in nuclear in Victoria and in Australia, obviously in suitable locations. I also note at 3:30 p.m. today, and this is thanks to the member for Benambra, this is a bit of a tip, in Wangaratta, where my grandpa lived for so long, race number 7 at 3:30 p.m. today. We have a racehorse called Going Nuclear, and that's probably something that might be a very good tip for people to invest in. Now, going back to, I think the member from Mildura wants to put a bit of a tip on, a bet on that. She's already done it. But we do, Acting Speaker, have 32 countries around the world, including Canada, France, the United States and the UK, which use zero-emission nuclear power today to bolster renewables. Across the world, nuclear power accounts for more than 16% and growing of energy generation, with life cycle greenhouse gas emissions from nuclear power being between 10 and 100 times less than emissions from fossil fuels. An additional 50 countries are exploring or investing in next-generation nuclear technology. Yet the Victorian State Labor government fails on every single metric to have a sensible debate about the future of nuclear energy in Victoria. And as noted, we are not afraid to have this debate today, tomorrow, next week, or any time into the future. The evidence is crystal clear that nuclear is the cheapest and most reliable zero-emission source of baseload energy. Yet, maybe the members of the other side have seen Dr. Strangelove one too many times, self-consumed and perturbed by a Cold War mentality, and allow their instincts to take hold and just reject, reject, reject. Here are some facts that I raise, and I challenge the other side to even just consider debating these in a mature manner and looking actively into the benefits of nuclear. 1, nuclear has the lowest carbon footprint, needing fewer materials and less land than other energy sources. 2, uranium is more abundant than gold, platinum, and many other rare metals. 3, nuclear power does not rely on the weather, the latter of which can be very, very volatile. 4, nuclear power is a flexible baseload source for wind and solar that provides more energy when it is needed and less when it is not, displacing coal and enabling renewables. 5, nuclear energy is about as safe as solar and it is far safer than coal, gas and oil, and safer than almost any other energy source. 6, spent fuel from nuclear power generation is compact, efficient and extremely carefully managed, particularly with modern-day nuclear plants. And I know those opposite are looking to the past, to Chernobyl and the historical Soviet era nuclear plants, but we have to look at the modern technology here today and the minimal nuclear waste that is produced. The federal Labor government, I believe, also supports AUKUS. Do you not support AUKUS and the nuclear submarines? And there is a lot of waste that goes with that. That waste will also have to be buried as well. Already for generations, we've had the Lucas Heights reactor as well. So the Labor Party in Victoria and Australia need to have a sensible debate on this issue, as we are willing to do. We cannot ignore all the prospects that nuclear energy offers us in Victoria and across Australia. Let's have a mature debate about its future in Victoria. Thank you, Acting Speaker.